I heard voices.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Classic Motion Stories, your go-to spot for discussing legendary and classic films. Today, we're diving into yet another masterpiece by the one and only Alfred Hitchcock. This time, we'll be exploring the plot of Vertigo, widely regarded as one of the greatest films of all time by some of the most renowned directors in the world. The film stars James Stewart, who is famous for his distinctive speaking style and his role as an everyman on the screen. Kim Novak, Barbara Bel Geddes, and Tom Helmore. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on our latest videos. Now, let's dive into the plot of Vertigo, a timeless classic released in 1958. The story opens with a dramatic rooftop chase. A criminal is on the run, pursued by police officers and a detective. The criminal manages to leap across the rooftops effortlessly, but the detective isn't so lucky. As he attempts to jump, he slips and ends up dangling precariously from the edge. One of the officers reaches out to help him, but in a tragic turn of events, the officer loses his grip and falls to his death. The scene then shifts to an apartment, where we meet the detective from the rooftop incident, John Scotty Ferguson. He's planning to take early retirement, still haunted by the memory of the policeman's fatal fall. Witnessing the death up close has left Scotty with a crippling fear of heights, causing him to suffer from vertigo whenever he's confronted with high places. In this scene, we're also introduced to Midge, Scotty's ex-fiancée. She reassures him that his fear and vertigo could be cured if he experiences a powerful emotional event, something that might help him overcome the trauma. The scene shifts to an upscale office belonging to Gavin Elster, an old college friend of Scotty's. Gavin asks Scotty to follow his wife Madeline, explaining that she's been struggling with mental health issues. He believes it would be best if someone discreetly kept an eye on her daily activities and whereabouts. At first, Scotty declines the request, but after seeing Madeline for himself, he changes his mind. The following day, Scotty begins tailing Madeline. He watches as she buys flowers, visits the Mission San Francisco de Assis, and stops by the grave of Carlotta Valdez. Later, she heads to an art museum, where she spends time gazing at a portrait titled Portrait of Carlotta. Scotty notices something peculiar. Madeline's bouquet and hairstyle eerily resemble those of the woman in the painting. Intrigued, Scotty continues to follow her. Eventually, Madeline checks into a hotel called the McKittrick. Scotty goes inside to investigate, but learns that Madeline had checked in under the name Carlotta Valdez. When he asks to see her room, she is nowhere to be found, and her car has mysteriously vanished. Confused, Scotty returns to his original stakeout spot, only to find Madeline's car back in its usual place. Through Midge, Scotty is introduced to a local historian. The historian tells him the tragic story of Carlotta Valdez, a woman kept as a mistress by a wealthy man. She gave birth to his child, but the man took the baby and abandoned her. Devastated, Carlotta spiraled into madness and eventually took her own life. Scotty reports his findings to Gavin, who reveals a shocking connection. Carlotta Valdez was Madeline's great-grandmother. The baby taken from Carlotta was Madeline's grandmother. Gavin insists that Madeline has no knowledge of this family history. However, he fears that Carlotta's spirit may have possessed his wife, as Madeline seems to have no memory of the places she visits. The next day, Scotty resumes following Madeline. Initially, she repeats her usual routine, but this time, something unexpected happens. She drives to a spot beneath the Golden Gate Bridge and jumps into the water. After rescuing Madeline from the river, Scotty takes her back to his home. There, Madeline confesses that she has no memory of jumping into the water in an attempt to take her life. As they talk, Scotty receives a call from Gavin, who reveals that Carlotta Valdez took her own life at the age of 26, the same age as Madeline. While still on the call, Madeline abruptly leaves Scotty's house without saying goodbye. The next day, Scotty follows Madeline again. This time, she goes to his house, leaving behind a thank you note. But soon after, the two meet in person, and they spend the day together. They drive to a forest, where Madeline once more tries to end her life by running toward the ocean. Scotty stops her just in time, only for their emotions to overwhelm them, and they share a passionate kiss.
I'm not mad. I don't want to die. There's someone within me, and she says I must die.
The following morning, Madeline returns to Scotty's home and tells him about a troubling nightmare she had. Scotty listens closely and realizes that the place from her dream is real. He recognizes it. They decide to go there together. The place turns out to be a church, which was once Carlotta Valdez's childhood home. Suddenly, Madeline becomes agitated and runs toward the church, heading up to the bell tower. Scotty chases after her, but his acrophobia makes it difficult for him to climb the stairs. As he struggles to reach the top, Scotty watches helplessly as Madeline throws herself from the bell tower, ending her life. In the next scene, the court rules that Madeline's death was a suicide. During the trial, Gavin announces that he plans to settle his affairs and leave the United States, possibly for Europe, with no intention of returning. He admits that the tragedy has left him plagued by nightmares. After the trial, Scotty is sent to a mental hospital, where he undergoes therapy for depression. When he is discharged, he begins visiting places Madeline once frequented, haunted by her memory and believing he sees her everywhere. One day, Scotty spots a woman who looks exactly like Madeline. He follows her to a hotel, but the woman denies knowing him and asks him to leave. She introduces herself as Judy Barton from Kansas. Scotty invites her to dinner, and to his surprise, Judy accepts. In a flashback, we learn the truth. Judy was the woman pretending to be Madeline. Gavin had hired her to act as his wife so that he could murder his real wife and make it look like a suicide. Gavin cleverly involved Scotty, knowing his acrophobia would prevent him from interfering. Initially, Judy plans to flee town after agreeing to dinner with Scotty. But she ultimately decides to stay because she has genuinely fallen in love with him. They begin a relationship, though Scotty remains obsessed with Madeline. His fixation grows to the point that he pressures Judy to dress and act exactly like Madeline. Reluctantly, Judy complies. One day, Scotty notices that Judy is wearing the same necklace Carlotta Valdez wore in the portrait. Realizing the truth, he understands that Judy and Madeline are the same person, and he now knows what really happened. Determined to confront her, Scotty takes Judy back to the church where Madeline had died. He demands that she reenact the events of that tragic day, forcing her to climb the bell tower. Scotty pushes through his acrophobia and makes it to the top, finally overcoming his fear of heights. At the summit, Judy confesses everything. Gavin had paid her to impersonate Madeline so he could kill his wife. With tears in her eyes, she begs Scotty to forgive her, professing that she truly loves him. Scotty, overwhelmed, forgives her. But suddenly, a shadowy figure appears. It's a nun, coming to investigate the commotion in the tower. Startled, Judy backs away in fear, loses her balance, and falls from the tower to her death. The end. This film's climax is incredibly intense and fast-paced, leaving the audience breathless as the tension reaches its peak. Even after the movie ends, the suspense lingers. What makes this film even more remarkable is the innovative cinematography, specifically the dolly zoom effect, which visually simulates the feeling of vertigo. This technique was first introduced in Vertigo and has since become one of the most iconic tools in filmmaking history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and share it. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so we can keep watching classic films together on this channel. See you in the next video. Cheers!